Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
Hello and welcome to Living on the Edge. To those of our viewers who wonder what happens to the thousands of letters they write to us, let's just say we are overwhelmed by them. Sadly, very few letters talk about how good things are or how they're getting better. Letters from Gujarat are particularly revealing. Whether it's Rohan Varti, a class 10 student of Ahmedabad, or Sadhna Dhanyal of Baroda, or SM Potpar of Nanded, they all want us to focus on industrial pollution in their state. What better way to meet their request than to travel to Ankleshwar, Asia's largest chemical industrial zone that is setting new standards of pollution. Nandini Rajwade reports.
It is dawn in Ankleshwar. The light reflecting off the bridge on the sparkling Narmada beckons you as you set off towards the industrial estate. The golden haze lulls you into a sense of complacency that disappears once you enter a out exactly how erring factories broke the rules.
During night times, we observed so many defaulters because they feel that nobody will come and they are emitting even their gases, toxic gases and effluent, untreated effluent just to save money.
जो खेती का वेल है उसमें केमिकल का पानी निकलता है, इससे खेती को नुकसान है। दूसरा जो पौधा लगाए थे ये नदी के बाजू में वो भी मर गए सब और ढोल को भी ज़्यादा नुकसान हुआ है। कितने आदमी पग से अंदर पाँव रखने से जल गए थे पहले।
ये साल बारिश कम हुआ तो उसकी वजह से नर्मदा का फ्लो भी कम हुआ था, तो उसमें जो ये पोल्यूशन ऐड हुआ तो उससे इस साल किसी को मछली ही नहीं मिली। अभी उसका इम्पैक्ट क्या है कि वहाँ पे 50 गांव हैं, वो 50 गांव में 40% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन जो है वो मच्छीमारी पे करते हैं। अभी उसका तो रोजी रोटी का सवाल हो गया, इस साल उनको कुछ नहीं मिला।
In the industrial estate, word spreads fast. By the afternoon, all the effluent treatment plants of factories living on the edge visited were working. Tense, edgy owners alternated between being helpful and justifying themselves when they were pushed.
Yeah, you can touch it.
Our factory is at the lowest area.
Is the?
Low-lying area.
I see.
So all if you can see here the water is also accumulated. But it's not our water.
It's not your water.
No, it's not water. This is GID on the whole water accumulation which is evaporating on sun drying. So for me, that is the biggest lower. Even pollution board they also knows.
See, suppose I want to take photograph, I cannot take from outside also. At least you have to take permission, no?
Yeah, I'm telling you, we haven't taken off your plant. We've taken off the effluent which is coming out.
Yeah, I don't know. Means camera was put, so I got
Anyway,
information.
the point is, what is this effluent which is coming out?
It's a treated effluent.
This black one is treated?
Black one is colored. Yeah, colored is we are making dyes intermediates. So the color will be there. But it's a treated. We have a secondary effluent treatment plant also, full-fledged plant.
I see, but this one is not working. This is your final one,
This is the final clarified.
It's not working?
That solar is not working. The power is not there.
It's not working.
Yeah.
The same unit later showed us their functioning treatment plant. Obviously, it was only switched on when the need to satisfy visitors arose. In the absence of an underground drainage system for the effluent, factories discharge their waste anywhere they can. That it's untreated goes without saying.
Most of the units are provided primary treatment in Ankleshwar estate.
Is it all right if just a primary treatment is being done?
No. Just primary treatment is not enough to comply with the conditions.
So all companies you're saying must have a secondary treatment plant also?
Yes.
As dusk fell on our first day at the state, we were chastened. As we were leaving the site, we saw effluent twinkling in the fading light, flowing out of a unit. Just where it was going, we had no way of saying. Come nightfall and factories empty their load, so to speak, thinking that no one can see what they are doing. Laws, after all, are meant to be broken. It is 6 a.m. on the morning of our second day. By now we are accustomed to the acrid smell of chemicals which hangs heavy in the air. If you ever visit this area, you will never ever take clean air and water for granted again. We have an appointment with the Secretary of the Industrial Association. He agreed to meet us after much buck passing and had easy answers to all our questions. They have said that when the cattle when they drink that water, they have died within the next 2 or 3 days.
I think this must be a very exaggerated statement, I would say.
Oh, I see.
There are a lot of scrap dealers who are collecting the drums from the factories and other things. They clean the drum, reuse it and resell it. So those places, that is on the highway towards Panoli and towards Dinesh Mill compound. So those people, whatever they clean the drum and throw it away, that water has been, I think, drunk by some of the cattle and they have died. So that is nothing connected with the industrial effluent which is flowing in the canal.
आज भी ऐसा हुआ है कि एक जो भैंस थी वो पानी पी के मर गई है और कितने दौड़ है वो जल गए पाँव से, पानी पाँव में पग रखने से पानी में जल गए. ऐसा होता ही चलता ही रहता है.
So at present this water is not harmful?
It's not harmful, it's colored. That's colored.
It is not harmful. It is harmful to the environment. Environment means we all. It's nature, animals, human being and even trees also.
So the colored water has caused the land to become so infertile?
Not, I don't know percentage of infertile what he
Okay,
claims.
or
I'm not
become
able to.
infertile.
I'm not able to comment or I'm not the competent person to comment.
Maybe
also on that.
the yield has dropped, like he's saying.
Must have dropped. It
Colored
is-
water,
Yeah,
you said it's completely harmless. There's nothing wrong with
yeah.
it.
So, but it may not be suitable for the plants or whatever it is. Quite possible. There are no drainage going to Narmada at all. The drainage is only this Amla Khadi, which is going right up to the sea, Asod, after Asod.
We followed the Amla Khari Creek, which carries the effluent from the GIDC state to this point where it enters the Narmada. At present, it carries the effluent from the Ankleshwar site. The proposed plan is to discharge all waste material from the Jhagaria industrial estate, which is under construction at present, into the same creek leading to the river. The Industrial Association contends that a common effluent treatment plant for small-scale units unable to afford one will go a long way in fighting pollution. When that will happen is anybody's guess. The Pollution Control Board claims they can only monitor industries and take them to court, but this has not stopped them from issuing no objection certificates without ensuring pollution control equipment is installed. Buck passing ensures that responsibility for controlling pollution is never taken by anyone.
GIDC's responsibility will be only of collecting and disposing of the treated effluent. Untreated effluent if that is discharged into our drains or any drains, pakka drains or RCC drain, there would be problem. Unless they treat to the standard and discharge, even the collection system cannot function.
Government is totally negligent, totally, thoroughly, hopelessly. Therefore, contempt. See, before filing contempt, I have spoken to 5 to 6 concerned secretaries, including the Industries Minister, saying, sir, this is the directions, comply. Why it takes so much time? Well, they just don't want it to take. Residents nearby, by few years, they will have what you call skin diseases. And if the pollution is too high or other gross, then they may suffer from cancer, then breathing problems.
The courts seem the last resort for the beleaguered farmers in Ankleshwar, who've lost all faith in the authorities and industrialists in the township. Their optimism was the only redeeming feature of our trip to Ankleshwar.
हमने अभी तक ये पानी का भी एनालिसिस किया है, तो उसमें भी उनका केमिकल आया है। फिर खेत में भी हमने लिया है और हमने सर्टिफिकेट भी ले लिया है कि भाई कौन सी खेती में कितना नुकसान हुआ है। एग्रीकल्चर ऑफिसर है, इनके पास हमने सब पूरा सर्टिफिकेट ले लिया है। एनिमल हस्बेंड्री डॉक्टर, इनके पास भी हमने सर्टिफिकेट ले लिया है कि भाई ये जो जानवर मरता है वो गंदा पानी की पीने की वजह से। तो हमारे पास पूरा प्रूफ कर लिया है हमने। तो हम कोर्ट में जाएंगे तो हमको पूरा विश्वास है कि जजमेंट हमारी फेवर में आएंगे।
So if you thought grass was just pointless old grass, welcome to the third largest family in the plant kingdom. Covering 1/4 of the land's area, what else can you think of that provides fodder, helps conserve soil and water, and can survive a fire and a flood? It grows really fast, and with 10,000 different kinds of it, don't you think that is the easiest and the quickest way to green our planet? So go green with good old grass.
Still to come, how joint forest management is the answer for dying species as well as people dependent on forest resources. And a day in the life of a rag picker. Here's a letter from MC Joshi of Udaipur, Rajasthan that has prompted our next story. The presence of rural people for collection of fuel and cattle feed is creating disturbances to wild animals. I insist that government should restrict such activities inside sanctuaries and national parks. The conservation experience worldwide has shown that any effort in the absence of support from local people dependent on land is doomed to failure. This fact is only now being absorbed by forest departments across our country, and they are evolving innovative joint forest management strategies that involve local people. That these are remarkably successful is obvious. Shonar Joshi gives you a ringside view of Madhya Pradesh's Harda experiment.
If you speak to any conservationist today, his main concern would be the death of our forests at the hands of greedy businessmen and hard-for-cash villagers. They're worried about the dwindling flora and fauna and even more nervous about dwindling animal and bird species. They say everything is connected and the death of one would lead to the extinction of another and so on. Some are even of the opinion that the government is responsible more than the traders or locals for having failed to protect forests adequately. But see it as a fluke or a gimmick or a ray of hope. The Forest Department of Harda, a small district in Madhya Pradesh, has decided to fight against the tide of accusations, giving a new dimension to the interaction between man and nature.
In the beginning, traditional forestry did not include the involvement of people, but now the people have been involved to protect and to develop the forest. They are dependent over the forest. So if you provide them the alternative employments, their dependency over the forest will be reduced. So degree of protection will be increased. Automatically we can ensure the development of forest, a regeneration process.
an idea which is both simple and effective. Initiated in 1991, the Joint Forest Management Prop has come a long way. Nearly 1/3 of Harda's villages have been converted into self-sufficient havens. Sitting snugly in the lap of thick forests and hilltops, these villages seem to radiate pride in having successfully broken away from poverty in its bleakest form.
पहले तो बहुत कमज़ोर थे, अब तो ठीक हो गए डैम बनने से और सिंचाई करने से। स्कूल पहले से अब ठीक ही चल रहे हैं और बच्चे को प्रत्येक बच्चे को 100 ग्राम का खाने को मिल रहे हैं।
पहले आदिवासी लोगों के पास में पानी सिंचाई वगैरह के साधन बिल्कुल भी उपलब्ध नहीं थे और इससे वो सिर्फ बरसात में होने वाली फसलें ही पैदा करते थे, जैसे मक्का, कोदो, कुटकी। सिर्फ एक ही प्रकार के बरसाती अनाज पैदा करते थे और अब सिंचाई हो जाने से 2 फसलें लेते हैं वो।
Just 2 years old, this dam is the hub of the newfound prosperity of Budwan. Building this dam not only gave the villagers a means of building bridges with other communities, but also opened up the gates to better irrigation and richer yields. They now spend all of their waking hours endlessly tilling their fields and raking in the fruits of their labor. Each village has a samiti headed by the forest official of the area to ensure that their schemes run effectively.
पहले मूली बेचते थे, मूली बेचने के बाद ये समिति का दोबारा से मतलब कुआं खुदा दिया, मोटर मिल गया और फिर पाइप मिल गया, अब खेती के मतलब कर रहा है।
तो इससे आपकी आमदनी बढ़ी है क्या?
हाँ, बढ़ गया है।
सबसे पहले पानी की व्यवस्था की। पहले इस गांव में केवल एक झेदा जैसा था, पानी पीने की भी परेशानी थी उसमें, तो उस झेदे को हमने ब्लास्टिंग करवा के कुआं बनवाया। 20,000 करीब लागत में कुआं तैयार करवाया और आज उस कुएं में इतना पानी है कि हम 50 एकड़ ज़मीन सिंचाई स्प्रिंकलर एवं अपने मोटर पाइप द्वारा बराबर पानी सिंचाई करवाते हैं।
The first successful yield of mulberry has boosted the confidence of the villagers to an all-time high. Evidence of breaking away from the tradition is found in the guise of smokeless chulhas and gobar gas plants. Even houses seem to be changing. Instead of thatched rooftops, they have tiled barracks. Till a few years ago, the excessive grazing by cattle had begun to lend a certain baldness to the forest cover. Besides, there was a constant battle being waged against the understaffed forest department and the timber thieves. A consensus was finally reached, and in return for all the wells, tube wells, huts, threshers, dams and much more financed by the department, the villagers devised a unique system by which the forest would be completely protected from both human and animal predators.
पहले क्या है, रातों दिन मेहनत करते थे कि मतलब जंगल हमारा कोई काट न ले। अब आजकल हम लोगों की चिंता नहीं रहती कि हमारे जंगल में कोई चोरी या किसी प्रकार के नुकसान करेगा, क्योंकि ये लोग खुद ही अब जो है जंगल की रखवाली करते हैं।
कोई भी बाहर का आदमी लकड़ी काटने भी नहीं आ पाएगा। दूसरी बात है, यहाँ के लोग भी चोरी करने नहीं जाएंगे। उनको ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे हम गए और कोई भी वन सुरक्षा समिति का आदमी मिल गया तो हमें रोक लेगा। इस प्रकार से मतलब कोई भी चोरियाँ सारी बंद हो चुकी हैं।
They are not reporting only, but they are imposing fines also, social fines.
And so what you and I may not notice so easily is spotted immediately by those who live here. Instead of demarcating an area with barbed wire, cactus dug in a line acts as a no-entry sign. In case you miss the camouflage danger line, blood red crosses on trees are another warning to look out for. The results are already evident. Areas which were devoid of greenery a few months ago have begun to blossom with wild grasses and new plants. Forest officials say that animals can also be heard and spotted more than before. Harda seems to be fast becoming a haven on earth. One can only hope that forest departments spread across the nation will feel inspired to replicate the Harda experiment and restore to India's forests their lost pride and to conservationists their lost faith.
Sudhanshu Kumar of Bokaro begins his letter quite interestingly. I am an unfortunate viewer of your much valued program. The twin problems of my city is presence of particulates in the air exhausted through different boilers and irresponsible disposal of garbage. Have you ever wondered what happens to the garbage we unceremoniously throw over our back walls? Tisha Srivastava begins her story at the point at which we say goodbye to our garbage.
They are everywhere, lugging sacks, furiously scanning and sifting through garbage. They are quite young and by all accounts should be in school or just playing. And yet they play a vital role in recycling almost 20% of the 5,000 metric tons of garbage generated in Delhi every day. A usual day begins early at about 8 for a rag picker, looking out for plastic, paper, tube light fuses and what have you. They almost always work in groups.
When I look at something, I'll say, look at the muck they've thrown. But these rag pickers say, look at the goodies lying on the road.
आपको अपने काम से खुशी मिलती है?
हाँ, अपना काम आते हैं जल्दी से करके निकल लेते हैं, हमें खुशी होती है, जल्दी काम हमारा हो जाता है.
They may be happy about their work, but they receive little appreciation from Delhi citizens who pay scant regard not just to waste disposal, but also to those who help clear their muck.
बिना अच्छे तो लोग बोलते हैं, चोरी का नाम लगाए थे कबाड़ी बाड़ी हैं, मगर मैं पैसे भेजूंगा अभी तो हमारे माँ बाप लेंगे नहीं ना, इसलिए कि बोलता है तुझे अब कमाने के लायक नहीं हुआ, बोलता मुझे तेरे पैसे नहीं चाहिए अभी.
लोग बोलते रहते उल्टा सीधा गालियाँ देते रहते, सोचते हैं गाड़ी में सामान चुरा ले जाएंगे, इसलिए कभी कभार तो मार भी देते हैं लोग.
Because rag pickers occupy the lowest rung in the recycling hierarchy, they are particularly vulnerable to exploitation. They sell what they collect to a middleman or a kabadi wala who pays them on a daily basis. The middleman in turn sells the material to an entrepreneur who usually converts paper or plastic into carry bags.
कबाड़ी वाला आप लोगों को ठगता वगता तो नहीं है?
मैडम ठगता है, वो भी उसने अपने बाल बच्चे पालने हैं, तो ठगेगा ही.
वैसे तो सही बर्ताव करता है, मगर जब माल लेके नहीं आते ना तो फिर बोलता है जुग्गी खाली कर दो. बारिश में जब माल लेके आते हैं तो आधा काट लेते हैं, क्यों गीला होता है इसीलिए.
At the mercy of the kabadi wala and condemned by the municipal authorities, they are also prone to all sorts of injuries and infections.
You have accidents from rag pickers who are picking up hospital waste or going through bins through hospital waste because you have needles and they have to come in physical contact with all kinds of infectious waste. In colonies where we have projects or where there's an organized system, we try to have glass and metals put separately so that rag pickers know that this is dangerous and they don't put their hands in blindly. And a lot of them don't wear gloves and a lot of gloves don't protect against glass, particularly if it comes as a surprise.
उठाने में कट जाता है, बोरे में डालने के बाद कट जाता है, पीठ छिल जाती है.
That's an understatement if there ever was one. While rummaging through glass and metal with bare feet, their skin gets pierced, leading to septic wounds. The danger of dog bites at the garbage dumps is also very real. Not to mention the possibility of acquiring who knows what infection in the foul atmosphere of loha mandis and flea-infested bazaar bylanes. These are the odds. Rag pickers like Jaipal battle to earn between 20 to 70 rupees a day. And yet, instead of being lauded for their recycling efforts and encouraged and protected, they face unending harassment from the municipal authorities and the police.
जब फेरी लगाते हैं, कागज बीनते हैं तो पुलिस वाले पकड़ लेते हैं, कहते हैं यहाँ से चोरी करके ले गया, ऐसे पकड़ के ले आते हैं, फिर पैसे देने पड़ते हैं पुलिस वाले को.
The boys we just spoke to have been evicted from the jhuggies they occupied for demanding a fairer price from their kabadi wala. Despite the fact that they have nowhere to go, the air of camaraderie that pervades the rag pickers community gives them the strength to confront any adversity. The latest blockbuster also offers them an escape into a fantasy world.
अलग-अलग काम करते हैं, हमारे यहाँ हमसे रह नहीं जाता दूर.
At the end of the day for Madan, a rag picker, there's a yearning for acceptance for a job well done and an income honestly earned for recycling the garbage we create but take no responsibility for. Imagine a rag picker's joy if each house in every colony separated its waste into biodegradable and non-biodegradable containers. And if each colony hired a few of these boys to collect waste from individual homes. The risk of injury would be less, the collection more efficient, and the rag picker recognized for doing a job that has to be done, but something he doesn't receive appreciation for.
About 80% of the rural population of India has no access to clean drinking water.